I'll try to keep my points within 5 minutes because I'm aware that we are tight for time and that this next panel actually starts at 3:15. So I'll try to keep it short. First of all, I'd just like to thank CCG, in particular, Dr. Henry Wang and Anne, for inviting me to be part of this distinguished panel. And everything that I say here will be just my own personal perspectives. And I actually have about 4 points, but due to time, I'll just cut it down to the 2 most important points. And these points relate to the question that the chair has posed to be about what should we do given this greater fragmentation facing us in Asia, right? I think, first of all, I think we have to recognize the current strategic reality and the key cause of, the leading cause of what scholars have described deglobalization or the retrenchment of globalization is incidentally US-China competition, right? Of course, it's not the only cause. There's a variety of other external causes, including the war in Ukraine. But US-China competition, unfortunately, for all of us living in Asia, is now the primary strategic context, and it is now the new format facing all of us. And obviously from there, there'll be repercussions. And one of the key, being the competition itself is a driver, and one of the key consequences is this phenomenon of deglobalization and greater fragmentation, right? The other day I was reading about what the chairman of TSMC, Maurice Chang, and he was commenting about the move of TSMC's plants, fabrication plants of semiconductors to Arizona. And his justification is that globalization is almost dead. That's what he said, right? Although I don't actually agree with him on the almost dead part, but I'll say that it is clearly broken in its current state. And here I fully agree with what my colleague Professor Bert Hoffman has mentioned, that essentially national security concerns have superseded economic logics, right? In the good old days of unfettered globalization, people are talking about economies of scale, right? Producing at places where the costs are lowest. But right now, production and economic logic is based on national security. This basically brings a huge problem, because what exactly is national security, right? It is essentially defined by the government of the day. And if you theoretically, almost everything can be securitized, even food. So this basically means that for a lot of the production of goods and services, including services, there will be a cost, there will be a premium to it that takes into account supply chain inefficiencies and basically the price to pay for protecting national security. And this means that if this goes on, the likelihood is that inflation or price increases, notwithstanding the best attempts of the US to try to manage it, but essentially, inflation and higher prices seems to me will be a long structural situation. I hope I'm wrong, of course. My second quick final point is that this also leads to something which earlier on Kawai-san has mentioned about great power competition must be managed, since we know that a leading cause of fragmentation is great power competition. So, it says the solution is that great power competition must be managed. But this leaves me with a question and a sense of helplessness, in the sense that this competition is basically managed by the great powers themselves. What if they don't manage this competition well? What about the rest of us? We don't want to be collateral damage. So this leads to the next question: what can others do? What can China's neighbors and those of us living in this region, with strong ties with both countries, what can we do to help the powers manage their competition? Of course, outsiders have limited role, but at the same time, I would suggest that we have a certain level of agency too. So how to do so, I think, is a question that we can better think about. It is often mentioned that between both China and the US, they must establish guardrails. But I think the rest of us, the neighbors of China living around this region, we can create this fertile soil to ensure that the guardrails stay firm. I think I'll just leave it as that. Thank you.